Well, good afternoon, everybody. I am Julia Royston of BK Royston Publishing, Royal Media and Publishing, and the author community, the Book Business Bosses. So I'm on this afternoon, super excited about interviewing and talking with our next wonderful guest. And I'll be telling you more about her, and she'll be telling more about herself in just a few moments. But I wanted to, while I'm sharing out to my Facebook pages of upcoming events. First off, on if you're in the Louisville area, on well, first off, if you're in the online community, on this Thursday will be the next right that book now. Finally finished the book session, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're interested in writing and want to finish up your book, go to bit.ly/finally finish the book and be able to attend that writing session. And if you're in the Louisville area, September 21st from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., I'll be at the Kentucky Center for African American Heritage on Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So you're interested in that, go to bkroystonpublishing.com/special events. That's special events, and click there to find out more information concerning that writer's workshop. I'm wanting to make sure that you have as many opportunities, either in person or online, to finally get your books finished. 2020 is just around the corner. So I want to make sure that you have opportunity to have some help, coaching, guidance, ask questions about publishing, pick my brain of sorts, and a promotion, which is the key and critical point even after writing the book. So I want you to have that opportunity as well for either online sessions or in person. So I don't want you to keep saying repeatedly that I hear all the time, I want to write a book, but how do I get started, Julia? I don't know what to do first. Well, I'm offering not only online sessions, but in-person sessions for you to be able to have access to it. Now, the next stop on the book festival train is October 5th. We'll be in Charlotte, North Carolina, and at the Northland Mall there in Charlotte, October 5th. Celebrating the entire month of October is National Book Month. National Book Month. And so we're having a major celebration at Northland Mall, not only BK Royston Publishing, but also the County Public Library there, as well as the Dolly Parton Imaginarium group will be there as well. So that's October 5th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. We'll be right there in Center Court in the center of Northland Mall in Charlotte, North Carolina. So reach out to us, go to bkroystonpublishing.com and look at all the events coming up. And so I am pleased and honored to introduce to my social media community, as well as share with others that will continue to be doing that, Dr. Kela Henry, who I met recently at the National Association of Black Journalists. She was awarded an Excellence Award there, and I was in that presence when she received that award. And so it was a just awesome experience. If you are a real diehard writer and you really love books and everything about it, the National Association, I don't know about you, Dr. Henry, whether you agree, but that's a wonderful opportunity for networking, exposure, and meeting people and meeting new people. And one of the things that I'm very grateful and thankful for is Dr. Kela Henry's book is a part of the book festival, the BK Royston Publishing Book Festival Tour, and she is a sponsor of the tour. Yay! And thank you so much. Thank you for being a sponsor of the tour, and we greatly appreciate all of your help. So sit back, relax, and if you have any questions, be sure and put them in the comments. Dr. Henry, if you're in the Atlanta area, I'm quite sure she will take you on as a patient. So we're not trying to get professional advice for free. No. You got to pay for that. But if you have general questions in regards to her book, and I'm going to ask her some questions as well. So I'm going to stop talking and let her introduce herself and her book to us. Go ahead, Dr. Henry, take it away. Take it away.
All right. Well, first of all, Julia, I'd just like to say thank you very much for having me on your program today. And I'm very glad that we had the opportunity to meet at the NABJ. That was actually my first time going to the NABJ conference. And so for my first time there, to be honored as a first-time author was just an awesome experience for me. So again, to introduce myself to your audience, my name is Dr. Kela Henry. I'm a family practitioner, speaker, and now award-winning author of my debut book, which is Nia and the Numbers Game, A Teenager's Guide to Education, Relationships, and Sex. My goal is to raise the positive self-image and self-esteem of teenage girls, particularly those in the African-American community. I want to teach young ladies about the importance of gaining an education, the consequences of sexual activity, and how to manage relationships with their parents and peers. Now, my inspiration from the book actually came from young ladies who I encountered in my office and some young ladies that I met when I've been doing some speaking engagements to local nonprofits who serve that particular demographic.
So, so what made you decide that you needed to really write a book? Tell me that first.
Well, as I mentioned just a moment ago, the inspiration actually came from the young ladies that I met. One of the things that I noticed, I would have some youngsters brought in by their moms when mom found out that she had lost her virginity and was engaging in sexual activity. And of course, there was concern for pregnancy and STDs. And often there was a lot of tension in that room, as you can imagine. The young lady's embarrassed and the mother's angry and upset. And during that process, when I'm asking more questions and getting a little more information, what I realized is that oftentimes the mother had not had a very realistic conversation with her daughter about sex. And I say this all the time. My mom probably just shakes her head, but here I am, I'm a middle-aged woman, and my mom still has not had the birds and the bees talk with me, right? Now, I was very fortunate that my father, for a man of his generation, was really ahead of his time. And he was the one who actually had the birds and the bees talk with me and my sister. And so there's a scene in the book where I write this conversation that Nia has with her mother. And that's kind of the way I wish my mom and I could have addressed the topic. But again, no parent is perfect, but it underscores how uncomfortable parents are with having conversations about sex with their children. But the reality is the conversation needs to be had, and it needs to be had in a very realistic way so that young ladies are armed with the information to make good decisions. It's not enough to just say, well, sex is a sin and wait until you're married. That's just not terribly realistic.
Right. Exactly.
It's just not. And so it's not that I want to encourage young ladies to become sexually active. I talk about abstinence all through the book, but I am absolutely an advocate for teen girls having the information that they need. And studies have shown that kids actually want their parents to be the ones to have these conversations with them. They do trust their parents.
Well, I started my cycle early at 9 years old. My mother didn't start till she was 13, but myself, and I have two younger sisters and my two nieces, we all started early. We all started at 9. So, and when I had my first cycle period, menstruation cycle, my parents were out of town. So we were staying with family members. So it was quite traumatic for me at 9 years old, and my two younger sisters, 7, and then the other one was 3. That was quite traumatic for me, being in somebody else's house, not fully knowing. We had all circulated the book back in the day. Of course, I was born in 63, so I'm 56 years old. So I'm early. I'm much older. But are you there, God? It's me, Margaret. it was the book that we all read.
Okay.
And circulated around. I think you might even had to have your parents' permission to even read the book. But it was similar to a little girl in third or fourth grade, and she hadn't gotten her cycle yet and didn't know what was wrong with her. And because she hadn't gotten her cycle yet. But starting that early, I caught my mother off guard because she didn't start till later. So when is an appropriate age for you to even have that discussion? If you're brave enough to actually have it, unless, some people say, oh, I'm going to go and make an appointment with Dr. Henry and let her have the conversation. But if you actually want to have that conversation with your own child, what's the appropriate age you think is a good time to ask? I mean, because it was taken from my mother. She didn't have to wait. It came, and then she had to have the conversation. You know what I mean?
Right. The first thing I would say, the best time to have the conversation is when your child is asking questions. Okay. And I hope it doesn't sound like I'm throwing my mom completely under the bus here. But when I was around 9 years old, I asked my mother, Mom, what's a period?
Mm-hmm.
And without missing a beat, my mom said, it's the punctuation at the end of a sentence. Exactly, right.
Okay, in your mother's defense, I think she was trying to protect you and not some more information you needed before you were ready, but you was ready.
Yes. And so my response to that was, well, Mom, no, I mean with maxi pads and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Okay. My mother then responded, you're too young to know about that stuff. Right. And, she said it in a way, she practically yelled at me. So I knew I couldn't have the conversation with her. Now I have a much older brother. So I went and asked him, and he had a biology book. So he took out his science book and he explained it to me as best he could using scientific terms and, showing me the pictures.
The diagrams in the book? Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. And so that's how I got that conversation.
Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
There's a recurring theme here that the men in my family are the ones who are educated.
They want to face it.
Right. They were more willing to face it than Mom was. And, Mom and I have talked about this, and she said, well, baby, in my day, we just didn't talk about that stuff.
You just had to figure it out on your own.
Right. But just figuring that out on your own, that may work out well for some young ladies, but for others, it may not. And so I think it's best to be proactive in that regard. So number one, my first answer to that is when your child comes to you and asks, that's the time to have the conversation. And then secondly, even if they don't ask, you as a parent, realizing that, okay, my daughter is hitting this age, she's a preteen, she's starting to become interested in hanging out with her friends who may be talking about boys or talking about crushes and what have you. It's important to kind of do a little bit of detective work. Know who your daughter is hanging out with, and then just ask, so, what are you guys into? What are you talking about? And pay attention. What kind of TV programs are they watching? Is she suddenly interested in makeup and looking cute? That's to impress someone, right?
Somebody. Yeah.
So, exactly. So taking those context clues to recognize that, okay, my daughter's starting to show an interest in the opposite sex. She's starting to ask little questions around the topic and not being very direct. That's how you know it's time.
Exactly. And you got to be a detective and an investigator. You can't bury your head in the sand. Not today.
Right.
You just, So there's several people that are watching, and thank you so much for joining us. If you have a question, just put it in the comments section. If you are a mother who is a detective in your house, put 1 in the comments section so we know we're talking to some detectives. If you're not so much a detective, put 2. But if you're a detective in your house, be sure and put 1 in the comment section. because uh, my mother, we were the house where everybody came to. So therefore, knowing who our friends were, knowing who we were associated with was really, 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 really key to that whole process. So I want to switch gears just back to the book,
Sure.
just to ask you a question, because I know a lot of people who want to write and are interested in writing. So first off, how did you come up with the title? Yes, Miss Jean Ann Walker says one. I am a detective in my house. What made you come up with the title, and what was your process? How did you find time to write?
Okay. Well, how I came up with the title, it actually came to me, to be perfectly honest. I was commuting home from work one day, and it just kind of hit me like a bolt of lightning. Nia and the Numbers Game. Now, let me say this. I knew that I wanted to name the title character Nia because that word means purpose. And Nia's purpose is edutainment, right? The book is educational, but it's also entertaining. But I hadn't come up with a title yet until that day. It literally just kind of came out of the blue. So I guess the ancestors sent that to me. And it was Nia and the Numbers Game. And I was like, you know what? I like that. I like the alliteration of it. And it just kind of flows off the tongue really well. So that's how the book title came to me. And then as far as like my process and finding time to write the book, the reality is once I made up my mind that I was going to write the book, I just did it. So I did meet with a local author, a patient of mine who's actually an author, New York Times bestselling author, as a matter of fact. So I figured I should go to someone who has experience in this area and who's already done it. One of the things she suggested to me was setting aside a space in my home to write.
Hmm.
And so I took her advice and did that. And the reality is, Miss Royston, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. So it's just a matter of making time, just setting aside time to do it. And I'll be honest, there were times I went through some writer's block, and then other times where things just flowed for me, and I wrote.
Well, I say the same thing, but they're like, I'm not like you, Julia. I don't like, I have the same 24 hours you got. I have the same, but I do make, especially when I'm writing and something is really on me to write, and because I'm very goal oriented. So I'm like you. When I set out my mind to do something, I'm going forward. I'm finishing, because I do want to finish and I do want to complete it, but when you really set your mind to it, you'll make adjustments in your life, you'll make adjustments in your schedule to actually make that happen. So, for those of you who are just joining us, I'm with the author, Dr. Kela Henry, who is a physician, family medicine in the Atlanta area, who will be happy to take you as a patient on in her practice. But she has written a book called Nia and the Numbers Game, a teenager's guide. And so I want you to, it's a kind of a mixture of fiction, nonfiction, and really relaying those areas that are related to education and supportive education, as well as answering those questions about sex that you may not want to answer. But here is a book that'll help with that. And then let's have a discussion about that later. Let's have some communication about that later. Nia and the Numbers Game is available on all major digital outlets in print and in ebook, as well as in audiobook. So feel free to go to Amazon, Barnes and Noble, wherever books are sold, and pick up your copy. Now, I also want you to consider recommending this book in a school. So if your child goes to a school, reach out to their counselor. You can reach out to us. You can reach out to Dr. Henry, and we can have communication as far as getting that book in schools. Now, it's very unique. The Hello God, It's Me, Margaret is about a little girl going through a cycle, but we don't get the actual answers from an educated, academic, professional, medical point of view. It's just told from a child's point of view, which is great. That's fine. But now we need some actual medical help terms that are just not, as they say, the street terms. We need some
Right.
actual professional help. And that's what Mia and the Numbers game is designed to do that. Not only just to help the child, but to also help the parent as well, so that
Yes.
we can make this transition much easier, so that we don't continue the same cycle of misinformation. That's what I'll say. I won't say ignorance, but I'll say misinformation. And once you ask the question, to get the questions answered appropriately and professionally. So if you have a question, jump in the comments. We're not going to be on much longer, but I want you to be able to first off meet Dr. Henry. She is available for speaking engagements, to come to your conference, to your women's conferences, to be able to speak, and actually from a professional point of view. Nothing against anyone else, but this is a sister, a woman of color, trained and certified to do what she does. So therefore, we need to take full advantage of this opportunity, of this information, of this person, so that we have people that are professional, that look like us, and that understand us. And so I want to definitely make sure that you're available in my community, in my social media community, to introduce her to this area. We can bring her in. She can be a part of your events, podcasts, webinars, and things of that nature, so that we can get the word out, not only just about her book, but about her expertise as well. So feel free. You can reach out to me, Julia Royston, right here, bkroystonpublishing.com, as well as Dr. Kela Henry. Her book, Mia and the Numbers Game, is here to help us. And I know the old stigma is, if you want to hide something, put it in a book, but we can't go along with that anymore.
No.
People do purchase books, whether it's ebook, whether it's in print. Now it's an audio book, so you don't even have to turn the pages. You can put it on your headphones and your Walkman and enjoy it while you go. For your child who says, I don't want to carry a book, good. You're going to download it, and you're going to get it you're going to get it in audio book format. But what's most important is that we get the information we need, so that we can be better educated, better understanding, and get the tools and the resources that we need to
Yes.
be a better people, and to be a better self, and to make informed decisions. Now, if once you have the information, you decide and you make another choice, that's one thing. But I want you to make sure you have an educated decision. You have a fully informed decision, and you have one from a certified, educated, confirmed physician, licensed to practice, and not just your friend who thought it and it passed down from hearsay. All right. So I'm super excited. If there's no questions, Dr. Henry, I appreciate you being on with us today. And thank you so much. I'll be sharing this and forwarding this. We've already had people share it on their platforms as well. So we'll be continuing to share this the rest of the evening, and it'll be on my YouTube site, as well as her books can be purchased if you're in the Charlotte area. Come to Book Fest Charlotte. You can get them online. If you want her to come and speak, please reach out to us, and we can get that contact information for you, so that she can come and spread this wealth of information for your community, for your church, for your conference, for your regional event, whatever you're having, so that we can be better women to move forward, because Black girls rock.
Well, Julia, before you sign off, I just wanted to let everyone know that this month I'm celebrating the 1-year anniversary of the release of Mia and the Numbers Game. So when you go to my website, drkelahenry.com, that's DRKELAHENRY, you will, when you purchase the book, you'll get one of these 1-year anniversary pins. So these are limited edition, limited numbers of these, and it comes with its own little velvet carrying case. I wanted to mention, inside the book, I actually have some journaling pages for young ladies. I have some quizzes, and also just information where they want to write down, for example, ideas about where they want to go to college, ideas about what they see in terms of a future relationship. I have a quiz. We mentioned earlier about the menstrual cycle. I have a quiz about the menstrual cycle in there. Also, every Thursday, I'd like for people to join me on Facebook and Instagram Live, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, rain or shine. I am on Facebook and Instagram Live, and it's my Let's Talk Thursdays with Dr. Kela. And so I just address various topics that affect our young ladies. In 2 weeks, the last Thursday of this month, I'm going to do an interview with Tia Muhammad of Raising Black Millionaires, where we'll talk about the relationship that we have with money. Because with her company, she is teaching our children how to have that millionaire mindset. So join me again for Let's Talk Thursdays every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Excellent, excellent. Be sure and follow her on social media. I put the links in the comment section as well. And a reminder about the Thursday evening at 7:30 on Facebook and over there on Instagram. So if you're on the move and you don't have your Facebook app up, hopefully you'll have your Instagram app. And any questions, this is Tuesday, so any questions you forgot today, bring them on Thursday on the Facebook and Instagram Live. Begin following Dr. Henry on Facebook and Instagram so that you can keep up with everywhere she is and all of the interviews that she has coming up. And if you have other questions, you remember, call her office if you need an appointment for you and your child so that we can so you can get the up close and personal if you're in the area. So
Julia, you are hilarious. You have no idea how busy I already am.
That's all right. You're gonna get the second practice. It's just gonna blow up. You're gonna need another office. You're gonna need another region. Whatever. We speak that in existence. You're not gonna be talking to millionaires, and you're not gonna be a multimillionaire. Come on now. You know, I'm blowing up everybody. Let's go. Let's go. We're going to the top. We're going to the top. One more thing before I sign off. If you have not registered to get on the webinar tonight to go to London, remember we're going to London May 2020. So go to BK Royston Publishing London 2020. Let's go. Let's have a great time. Be sure if you have any problems, any questions, hit me up on instant message. Thank you so much, Dr. Henry.
Thank you, Julia.
Being on with us today. Hold on 1 second. You all be blessed. Anything else? Hit me up, bkroystonpublishing.com, Royal Media and Publishing, and the author community, the Book Business Bosses, helping you get your message to the masses, turn your words into wealth, and be a book business boss. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me.